Hi there everyone. You turn your volume off. Hi there, it's James Hillery from 2017 Bake Off, also the Christmas Bake Off a couple of years ago. Been asked by NASS to kick off the Jubilee celebrations and tea week by making a nice little easy to make delicious chocolate tart that you can all make nice and easily for any of the celebrations that you're going along to. The Queen's favourite cake apparently is a chocolate and rich tea cake. So I've taken that inspiration, but rather making it like a cake which is a bit like a tiffin or a rocky road is how she likes it, we're going to make a ginger nut sort of cheesecake base type tart, so a biscuit based made out of ginger nuts, another one of her favourites, and then filled with a lovely rich chocolate ganache which will set nicely. And then we'll whip up some whipping cream to serve alongside it. To make it, you'll need a 9-inch, ideally loose bottom flat tin, or a 9-inch tin, and you need it to be probably about 1.5 inches deep. It's really simple ingredients. We'll start with the biscuit base, so we need 200 grams of ginger nuts, which I'm going to weigh out just now. If you've got any questions, you feel free to pop them in the comments. My wife's behind the camera and she'll read them out as they come up. So we need 200 grams of ginger nuts, which is almost a pack of ginger nuts. One more for that. And what we're going to do, we're going to crush those up. But before we crush those up, if you weigh out 115 grams of unsalted butter, and pop that into just a small saucepan, just so it can start to melt down on a medium to low heat, and we'll let that melt just while we start crushing the biscuits. So a couple of options for crushing the biscuits. I've got glass bowls, so I'm not going to whack into them with a rolling pin in the bowl. You can do if you've got a plastic bowl. I'm going to put them in a freezer bag. If you've got a food processor, just whiz them up in a food processor. You want them to be kind of the texture of sand, quite a small fine crumb. So I'll put these in a bag and I'll get whacking away. So hopefully we've got a good combination of members of NASS, but also other people that follow either NASS, myself, or have seen it on social media to join in today. I was diagnosed in 2012 and the team at NASS have been a fantastic support through that early diagnosis, understanding what the condition's about, but also they have a really good branch network where you can go along and do physiotherapy. We've found lately our local group, which is Essex based, has been struggling with numbers post-pandemic. We kept it going live via Zoom through the pandemic. But now we want to get back into in-person physio again, and we're just trying to build the numbers again. So please, if you need physio, check out your local branches and support them. They're all sort of, whilst it's part of the NASS family, they're all kind of run by the people in each location. So I was on the committee for our one. So please join and support them. It's great for everyone. Some branches have physiotherapy and hydrotherapy. We lost our hydrotherapy pool. But physio is so important for people with AS or other related spinal arthritic conditions. And again, any questions, just pop them in the comments. So I'm just going to whack these. It'll be a bit noisy, so I'll stop talking for a bit. So just keep it whacking them to a nice crumb. Don't do like I did during the week and whack it really hard and the bag splits and it goes everywhere. So that looks kind of a nice crumb now. It's kind of the texture of dry sand, slightly grittier than dry sand. So what we'll do, we'll put that into a heat-proof bowl. And hopefully your butter that you've been melting is almost melted. And we'll be able to combine the two together. I'm just going to turn up the heat on my butter just a little bit, just to get it moving. It's almost there. You don't really want it to burn and bubble, just so it's just about melted, should be good enough. Give it a little stir. Hopefully you've all got lots of fun stuff planned over the Jubilee weekend, a nice 4-day weekend in the UK. Okay, so my butter is nicely melted. I'm going to turn off the heat and then just pour the butter on top of your ginger nut biscuits. Don't worry about washing the pan, we're going to reuse that for the chocolate. So just leave it off the heat on the side, saves a bit of washing up. Now we just want to mix the butter into the ginger nut crumbs until it forms like a wet sand, as you'd see just at the edge of the sea. So there'll be no dry, you don't want any dry bits left in it, you want the butter all the way through. Doesn't take long to do, just keep mixing it till you can't see any more dry bits. And then we're going to pour it into our loose bottom tin or whatever tin you're using and gently flatten it out or spread it out. We're going to want it to push it up into the edges so you've got a nice rim around the pie, but also you want it to fully cover the bottom. So my little cheat for that is I get a flat bottom glass, and it makes a really good implement just for pushing your dough. You can push it into the side of the tin and also push the base at the same time. And you just want to try and make sure there's no sneaky little holes at the bottom and you've got a nice little rim around the edges. And you can take your time on this step, but sometimes find as you push one bit you get another little hole open up somewhere else, so just bang it down gently so it's all nice and firm and as best you can that there's no holes in it. Once you're happy with that, so it's pretty flat, is I'm going to pop, because it's a loose bottom tin, you don't want to accidentally put your hand through the bottom of it. So I'm going to put it on a plate and just put it in the fridge while we do our chocolate filling. And we'll just let that firm up a bit whilst we're making the chocolate. Whilst I'm in the fridge, I've grabbed my double cream out. So for the filling, we've got 300 grams of chocolate. Ideally use dark chocolate, chop it up into little bits so it's nice and small. I make a lot of chocolate stuff, so they're like chocolate chips, but they're high quality, 54% chocolate. You want a decent high cocoa content in it, otherwise it doesn't really make a nice smooth filling. If you use a Galaxy, there's so much sugar and milk in there that you really won't get the chocolatey you need. So nice dark chocolate, green and black, so Bourneville. You're going to put cream in it, so it won't be that. It'll be nice and rich, but won't be too bitter. So I'm going to weigh I'm going to pour 150 millilitres of double cream into my pan. That is roughly 150 grams, and it just saves messing up a jug. So I'll just pour 150 grams of cream into here. And then I'm going to add the butter, 50 grams of unsalted butter, and that will make it nice and glossy once the chocolate goes in. So put it back onto the heat, again kind of a medium heat, and you want to bring it up to a simmer. You don't want it a crazy boil, because again if it's too hot the chocolate might seize as well. So put it in there, wait for the butter to melt into the cream. You'll see it just start to bubble really faintly. Once you get to that stage, we'll pull it off the heat and pour the chocolate in. So we'll just give that a couple of minutes to heat up. Any questions?
No.
Graham
Scripper just said he made a ganache with Bourneville.
Oh, perfect.
And he's working the Jubilee weekend.
Oh, excellent. Bourneville's a good choice. Again, nice high cocoa content. Best for ganaches. Any decent quality you should be able to get away with. So right, I'm going to start warming this up. I'm going to be a bit cheeky and put it on just a little bit warmer. The idea is that once you bring it to almost to a boil, you put the chocolate in, leave it for 30 seconds, a minute, and the chocolate will start melting, and you'll start stirring it and you'll think this will never come together. Just trust it, keep stirring, and it will gradually melt. If you do need to put it on the heat just to melt your last little bits of chocolate, really low heat just to keep a little bit of warmth under it, and you'll be perfect. Also, what I forgot to add in here, we also want to put half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, or vanilla extract, or vanilla bean paste, whatever you got to hand. Just gives it a little bit of extra flavour to your chocolate centre. It's quite nice. This is just a vanilla bean paste. Use whatever you got to hand. I would say in the old days, vanilla bean essence, so that's the flavour of vanilla, not actually made out of vanilla bean pods, used to be made from a gland that's in a beaver's bottom. So I always use natural extracts where I can. I don't think they use that nowadays. It's the castor gland from a beaver that had a very vanilla-y smell, so that was how they used to make vanilla essence in the old days. Whereas an extract is where they actually use vanilla beans and extract the vanilla flavour from that.
Good.
Never liked beaver's butt pie, I've decided. And poor beavers for having to go through that to give up the vanilla essence or extract. Right, so I just put the vanilla bean paste into the milk and just stir it all in so it's all mixed. And also the butter's now melted nicely. So I'm just waiting to see the first few bubbles around the edge, and then I'll know that will be hot enough. We're almost there. With all cream, just stir it gently with a spatula or a spoon. Just make sure it doesn't burn on the bottom, because it can leave an unpleasant taste. But as we're not doing this on too hot a heat, you should be good. I'm starting to see a little bit of steam coming off. Just waiting for my first bubbles. What's the expression? I watch pot never boils. I'm just starting to see some little bubbles around the edge of the pan. If I put my hand over it, you can feel a little bit of heat coming off. It's not boiling rapidly. So I've taken it off the heat. I'm going to put in 300 grams of chocolate. Just make sure it's covered. And then we'll just leave that just for 30 seconds or so, just so it can start melting. Right, you see it started melting, and stir slowly, and it looks like it splits in like the chocolate. You can see in the bottom doesn't look like it wants to combine with the cream, but if you just keep gently stirring, you'll be surprised how delicious and gorgeous this looks. And again, do this off the heat, and it should all melt. And if it doesn't, just pop it on a really low heat, just give it a little bit of warmth just to finish the last bits off. And again, by using a spatula rather than a whisk, you're not putting in too much air, so it won't go all bubbly when you pour it. Just take it nice and slowly, try not to spill any. And you can see now it's becoming a nice glossy chocolate ganache. So make sure you nicely stir. I'm not sure if you can see that well, but it's lovely. Oh, just spilled it on the side. Lovely, rich chocolate runny goodness. Right, so I'm going to get my case back out. Ideally, if you're doing this at home and you've got a bit more time, I'd leave the case in for a little bit longer. Probably give it half hour just to really set up. But then once your case is feeling firm enough, you just gently pour your chocolate in, making sure you don't come over the edges. You should be fine if you're using a 9-inch tin. And you can see, hopefully you can see it's got a lovely rich shine to it. I'll come closer to the camera in a sec. So just smooth it out gently. And we're going to let that set up. Again, in the fridge. Let me see if I can. So hopefully you can see it's nice and shiny. So I'm going to pop that in the fridge. Probably needs to chill for about an hour to 2 hours for it to be fully firm and ready to cut. You can leave it in the fridge overnight. It holds up really well for about a week in the fridge because the chocolate holds it nice and tight. So you should be good. So that is the tart finished. I'll go through just whipping some cream that you can serve on it. You can decorate it once it's set any way you want. Obviously you don't want to put cream on a warm tart, otherwise it'll just melt. So you can either just pipe little rosettes, put little Union Jack flags in, or big chocolate buttons on. Just anything to make it look pretty. If you bring it out of the fridge and it looks like it's gone a bit dull, if you've got a kitchen blowtorch, if you just run over with a kitchen blowtorch, that'll bring its shine back up. It's just where the fats have settled a bit. But either way, it tastes delicious. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge and we'll just go through a nice little Chantilly cream to go on it. So for a nice little flavoured cream to go on top, slightly sweetened, we go for 150 millilitres, and again I weigh it 150 grams of whipping cream. We're going to pop in again half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, essence, or whatever you have, vanilla bean paste. Give it a lovely bit of vanilla flavour in the cream. And then we'll also, just to sweeten it, and also it helps stabilise it, we'll put a tablespoon, could be depending how sweet you like it, a nice heaped tablespoon of icing sugar. If you're feeling strong, you can get a normal balloon whisk and just whisk it with a balloon whisk. I'm going to be a little bit lazy and just get out my electric whisk. If you've got like a food mixer, KitchenAid, use that. Whatever's easiest for you. Again, you don't need lots of equipment. A bloom whisk will get you there just as quick. Just feeling lazy today. So again, start slowly. You can speed it up, and you want it to come to a nice whip consistency, but don't over whip it that it turns to butter. Cold cream whips best, make sure it's nice and cold out of the fridge. You may be able to see it starting to come to the ribbon stage now, so it's leaving a trail, which means you're almost there. It's now come to a lovely thick consistency that holds up nice and well. So you can either pipe that, or if you don't want to pipe it, just a nice big blob. Once you've cut the tart and it's set, be absolutely delicious. You put your little Union Jacks on there, put your hats on. If you're drinking Pimm's, have a nice Pimm's and enjoy your tea party. It should go down a treat. It will look like it's taken you hours and hours to make, but it's super simple. So hopefully you've followed along, enjoyed that. If you do make it, tag NASS or tag myself on social media. I'm at @CluckMuckCook on Instagram and Twitter. You'll find me also on Facebook. I'd love to see how they turned out. Hope you had a brilliant time. Leave any comments. Let me know what you thought of it. And it's been lovely to have you all join this evening. So take care. Hope you've had fun and have a wonderful Jubilee bank holiday. Cool.